please go and check out my Telegram channel. The link is below because that's where you're going to be able to get all the extra detail that you can't get here. I'll see you there. Hello, gorgeous, lovely, wonderful, talented Starseeds and Lightworkers. It's Alexander Quinn. Hello, and the reason why we are all here today is because of the message that the Mantis beings have come forward with, which is a bit unexpected. And I would just like to say that when I'm teaching people how to go into the spirit world, especially how to meet your star family, always try and get the name and the location of the being that you're speaking to, because even when you're dealing with beings that you know and you like, there can still be a bit of trickery. Yesterday when I sat down to start working on my channeling, I asked the Arcturians to come forward. And what came forward was a little bit like an Arcturian, but it wasn't quite like an Arcturian, and there was something a bit off, and I couldn't quite piece it together. And actually, what was going on was there was this very young Mantis being that I started working with that came through that was masking as a as an Arcturian, and eventually it came forward. And this is a very young Mantis being. It's only about 200 years old. And I work with the father figure, older Mantis being that is related to this being as well. So as I started to go in and speak to this Mantis being, there's a bit of dialogue that opens up. They don't just come in and we will start telling you what you're going to say, and it just starts coming to you like a robot. No, there's some dialogue, and I start speaking to them first. And they were conscious that I had posted a day or two ago about that new Freedom film with what's going on with the children and everything. And they were saying, well, we're conscious that this is actually going to be much, much bigger than anything any of you can imagine. So they said, would you like us to expand on this? And I was like, yeah, please, definitely. So I'm going to do what I always do. I wrote it down. There's 2 pages. And I'm going to read it through nice and slowly. They talk about themselves a little bit. And here we go, okay? There are, in fact, giant spiders on your planet who are etheric. Those who take your newborn and young are those of a sect who are from spider families and are beset with this engraving on their skins as sigils, as recognition as their overextended and overstayed time on Earth. And I just want to before we go into this, a lot of people think that the missing children and all this kind of stuff is reptilian, Luciferian, satanic, yes, reptilian. From what I understand, no. Actually, there's a chain above that, which is what the Mantis being is telling me. This group are in denial, and the public are opening up to learn more of their ways via your media and your films. And this vehicle being me, posted yesterday. You are in a time of superhero sound bites. Next will be truth bites of atrocities bestowed upon your young. What do spiders do? It webs its victim, rendering it powerless whilst draining it of life before eating it and ingesting its chemicals directly into its stomach. Inspired by this arachnid consciousness, there are those humans on your planet who are part of these eight-legged sects. And the most hidden of all of those who behave in such ways, maintaining themselves in the safety of the Swiss mountains and others in London deep underground. And they're basically saying that there's only 2 families left who are really orchestrating all of this. These peoples and their spider groups have collapsed. They openly display themselves in your artistic interpretations within your moving film works, such as titled 13. They're basically saying there's this film called 13. I haven't looked it up yet, but it looks very interesting. Watch for the light bulb adorned by the spider. And I think they're trying to say there's something in this film. And I actually looked it up on Google Images, and there's some thing with a spider on the light bulb. But I'm going to watch it tonight to see what that's all about. Those families are reality. Look for the ones who have the marking of a spider engraved in their sigil or inked on their skin. So I guess they're talking about tattoos. Your missing innocents have been present for a long time, both on Earth and off Earth. And when I was having a bit of pre-chat before writing all this down, they were showing me our innocence. I'm going to try not to say that CHILDREN too many times, because this will probably get flagged and then this video will get taken down. But they talk about the innocence, and they're being transported. They were being transported off Earth, but that has now stopped. The missing innocents have been present, so on and so forth. This took dramatic upticks in advancements when a colony of arachnid consciousness from Orion reptilian contaminants was set free to Earth as an ill-fated and calculated experiment on Earth's year 1856. Since then, some of the highest factions of Masonry and above are linked to the spider consciousness and their arachnid groups. Those who are well known, in fact, covet these symbols secretly and worship these etheric buildings. And just off the top of my mind, I remember I think there was a James Bond movie where, or was it an octopus or a spider? I can't remember. Okay. It is since then that this issue began and has evolved into the largest secret abuse ever to unfold in your modern times. We as a group, both in Antares and other parts of the Scorpio constellation, work at the highest efficiencies, beyond anything that the most imaginative person on your planet can contrive or imagine. Our efficiency is like that of a super army, like that of a colony of ants, working as one to create a giant conveyor belt of work, achieving outcomes that those in other galaxies come to us for in order to accomplish. You see how the, and I'm going to put this word down here that they use, Formicidae or Formicide, which I looked up, which is like a species of insect, on your planet have a unity and work in a one knowing in order to achieve the cutting down of large plant materials, all of them with their own psychic chemistry, orchestrating themselves where they must go and how the operation must be achieved, like military precision, without any kind of management. In this way we work also, however, creating giant fields around planets, sometimes entire galaxies, that create what you would call psychic protection fields, like a wall, that even other great star nations you know of cannot penetrate unless permissions and access are needed at some of the highest levels. Whilst federations actually protect your solar system, it is us, the Mantis, who form your Scorpio constellation, from your Scorpio constellation, send giant walls of impenetrable psychic protection that now surround you like a wall of water, drowning anything that may try to energetically access it on all levels of dimensionality you have consciousness of and beyond. That was the first page. Last page is a moderately short message this time, and it came through very, very quickly as well. Your codes operate on sets of 12. We operate on 24 plus. We are gatekeepers, and it was the arachnid consciousness that had alerted us to the cruelty of your planet previously. By this time, the reptilians had already infiltrated. The few remain on your planet whose wealths you cannot imagine, some the size of countries who run the show who are invisible. Some living in compounds underwater and deep in mountains via your ancient tunnel systems, spanning your entire globe. And I'm conscious of this, because we've had tunnel systems that were created during Atlantis and in Lemuria, and all sorts that have been there. Some have been blown up, some have been taken down, some are still existing, so on and so forth. Even your film and news has no idea your innocent and young arrive in these places and never leave. Many leave the Earth entirely, although that quarantine was issued in 2003. This is the arachnid consciousness. They also have permeated some of your Antarctica. However, the Andromedans removed these groups who are also responsible for what you entertain as black slime. Or some people call it black goo. I've been hearing about this stuff for ages. A viscous goo created by the arachnids to rewrite the DNA of humans that moves on its own accord like a tar, with unpleasant and depleting consciousness, sentience, and self-thinking. All that is left now is the consciousness of these beings within the DNA of the only two bloodlines whose operations crumble. Still, there are those at the top of your organizations who weaponize their powers to protect these lines due to unimaginable wealth and protection afforded to them. They are induced into chemical ecstasy dependence via manipulation and blackmail, sometimes via supplies whose chemical formula C9H9NO3, which is also ingested in most unpleasant ways via hippuric, I'll put that down there, hippuric acid, commonly drunk via wastewater from the mistreated young who go missing. The innocents are running dry as batteries for this continuation, and those last few will reconcile to punish humanity in relentless attempts via banking systems, pharma, and a level of subversion via your televisions that is compromised and cannot go ahead. Their attempts will be temporary and short-reached, although the collective must remain in the knowing that this game has already ended. You are protected. He who owns your giant message machine insignia being a bluebird is being used. Look for broadcasts. Many are not he. I'm guessing they're talking about Musk, because the bluebird is the Twitter. Although his semblance is used in crude holographic fakery. Bring your eyes close to your screen and watch his lips. And then they give a short message that they want to give to the people of Earth, specifically more about their homeostasis. We ask that you begin to take better care of your bodies, as zinc and hormonal equilibriums begin to change within your homeostasis. This is because vitamin uptake will become attuned to the sun's information sets, while your new DNA and rapid evolution codes created etherically in your bodies in order to keep up with the cell replication and DNA changes that will begin to increase very rapidly as your planet's magnetics begin to tilt past an imaginary line in the sand that will catapult consciousness on your planet seen far and wide, even in the limitation of your manipulated 5 senses. And then the last bit I was actually going to cut out because it's a little bit of a playful dig, or a little bit of fun they're having towards me personally, and I thought maybe I'll take that out, but I thought no, I'll leave it in, that's fine, no big deal. Not far to go now, Earthlings, not far. Dear Alexander, we were here before the Arcturians arrived. You were late. Better late than never. Closing conduit. And the name is spelt Ed Zioei. My dyslexia just doesn't want to deal with it. Again, I'll put it down there. So fascinating, very, very interesting. And this is as I say, this new, very young Mantis being that comes through. It's not necessarily one that I always work with clients. That's the older one when I'm doing etheric DNA upgrades or have to repair cellular damage or whatever. But the young one's very, very playful, and coming in, masking himself as an Arcturian was it was a bit like a playing masquerades. It was like knocking on the door, right? So show who are you? We got there in the end. As many of you will know, my Yorkshirean is very dry, has a very dry sense of humour. So it's Friday. It's the weekend. Have a lovely weekend. It is the Syrian portal today, and the Syrian portal will have an impact on you, and various energetic things going on. I will make another video about that. But have a lovely weekend. It's gorgeous weather here in London. I'm going to go out and go for a beautiful walk and go to the park. And God bless, and I'll be with you soon. And thank you. God bless. See you soon. Bye-bye.